Hey, it's the Red Rican, and back by popular demand, it's Larry Kahn. I wanted to have him back. I was hoping it was going to be to have him back to congratulate him, but that doesn't mean that it was a disappointment. So I'll let Larry talk about how the election went. So,
Hey, thanks for having me on your show today, Carlos. The election went great. We had a great 3-week write-in campaign, and it was just awesome. I had the best time. I met the greatest people. We had a total blast. I didn't win well, actually, if it wasn't for the mail-in votes, we would have won the election. But because I did not have the advantage of the mail-in votes, we didn't quite make it to the board. But we did get about 2,000 write-in votes on election day. And they threw out about 100 of them because of the little bubble that wasn't filled in. But it was a great day. We sent a message, and I think the school board heard the message, and the message definitely resonated with the people, with the residents of the West End of Monroe County, the Pleasant Valley School District, with the teachers, with the taxpayers, with the people that work at the school. The message resonated, and that was what made it a great day.
yeah, I think it made a difference that, what was it, just a couple of weeks you ran for, and to get 2,000 votes for just like 3 weeks of campaigning you did?
Almost 3 weeks.
Almost 3 weeks. So
yeah.
You almost got 1,000 per week for running.
If I only had 2 more weeks to campaign, I'm sure we could have easily cleaned the table.
I think if you would have been able to get on the ballot,
oh yeah,
then definitely. I think I think that showed that if you were on the ballot, I think you would have definitely made the noise. Well, I shouldn't say make noise. Then you would have actually got on, as opposed to just scaring the hell out of these people. Because I'm sure it's like, what was the I think the highest vote getter was like maybe close to 3,000 after the mail-in.
I think it was Mike Galler got. I think he got maybe a little bit over 3,000, maybe 3,100 votes.
Yeah.
But on election day itself, we got more write-in votes than 2 of the other candidates actually got on election day. Yazwiak only got, I think, around 800 votes on election day.
Oh, wow.
And I think Diane Surface came in next. I don't know, maybe 1,300 or 1,400 votes, but we got a solid 1,900 votes on election day. We got so many votes at the Polk Township Voting Center that the machine that they used to tabulate the votes at the end of the day ran out of paper. So they couldn't give us a total until the next day. It was hilarious.
No, that's, I always stress local politics, because I always tell people your local politics is what affects your daily life more than voting for president, more than voting for your congressman. Your local politics, school boards, it's going to affect what your children learn. It's going to affect your budget. We just hired a new superintendent, right? We said James Conrad,
yeah, for $170,000 a year, with a contract, with lots of built-in bonuses, while our teachers don't have a contract. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, and what makes even less sense is this guy broke his contract to come from where he's working now to come here. So now he's getting paid from wherever he left to come here, and his new contract states that if he leaves, we still have to pay him, even though if he leaves to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact contract that he has, and I'm not sure exactly where he came from and what his contract obligations were in that school district. But what I am aware of is that he got his PhD from Temple University, which is one of the biggest CRT, critical race theory institutions in Pennsylvania, if not in the country itself. So we have a lot to be afraid of right now.
Well, yes, and as long as we just got to get control of the board, because even with him being the superintendent, as long as we have control of the board, he can't just change the education policy.
No, the board is still the bottom line. The board
Mhm.
is still the one that makes the final decision. The board went ahead and fired this guy, and I mean hired this guy. Excuse me. They didn't fire him yet. Maybe they will. But at the last board meeting, when I got up and asked the board about this new superintendent, the board didn't give any history. They didn't discuss with the people their hiring process, their interviewing process. I got up and I asked the board about this new superintendent that was coming in and why are they not giving the teachers a contract? And the board, as usual, had absolutely nothing to say. So this is your present school board that you have in Pleasant Valley right now. You ask a question, they ignore you, and they're ignoring the teachers. They're not giving them a contract. They're ignoring the taxpayers. They're ignoring the citizens. It's to the point right now where I believe tomorrow night, prior to the school board meeting, the teachers are going to be picketing outside of the high school because they don't have a contract and they deserve one.
No, that's, if they're going to pick it, I think as parents, as citizens of this school board in this district, we need to support our teachers. We need to be there at the school board meeting, and telling them that teachers need a contract, and letting them know also that, either in the school board meeting or being outside with the teachers, because I think it's important that as community we show our love to these teachers, because they're the ones that not only do they teach our kids, they live with us.
Absolutely. I am going to be out there picketing with the teachers because I support the teachers. I'm going to be at the school board meeting after the picketing because I'm involved in the community and I want to make sure that these teachers and the taxpayers and the students get what they should be getting. And they're not getting that right now. They're not being heard. They're not being listened to. They're basically being swept under the carpet, so to speak. And it's not fair to anybody.
Especially when we're overpaying superintendents.
$170,000 a year to start, with bonuses and benefits and a contract, which the teachers don't have. Do you know how many paraprofessionals they could hire for $170,000 a year? Probably a lot of them. So I can't really make a lot of sense out of it. If anybody can make sense out of it, please let me know.
We were talking before. I said, I'd understand if it was Pittsburgh or Harrisburg or Philadelphia for a superintendent to making that much money, but we live in a county of what, 80,000 people, and that's the county. I'm not even talking everybody goes to the same school district. It's an 80,000 people county. Now we're paying $170,000 for the superintendent.
Yeah, it's, this is financial. This is over financial mismanagement. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to get on the school board was because I want to see where the money's going. I was asking taxpayers. I was asking when we were campaigning. One of my first questions that I would ask the residents of the community was, would you like to know where your money's going? The money that you're paying in taxes. Would you like to know where it's going? And they would say, yeah. And I would say, well, I would too. I'd like to know where it's going. And one of the first things that I was going to do when I got on the school board was start looking at where the money is going and where the money is being spent, because I think there is a lot of fiscal irresponsibility going on right now, and it needs to change. It needs to stop. I'm very hopeful that some of the new school board members coming in will step up to the plate, but we have to wait and see what happens when they get there.
Wait, because it's only 4 members right? 4 members were
Uh,
voted in, or is it 3?
Three, one is an incumbent, Laura Jecker, who is
Yeah.
the treasurer. She was reelected
Yes.
to the school board. And then there was Mike Galler and two other, two other people
Mm.
that were elected for the new cycle. So there were four people elected. There were actually 5 people running for 4 seats. That's how it turned out.
Yes, that's what. Yeah. Um, no, I like Laura. I'm hoping one day I'll have Laura on here too. Laura.
Yeah, Laura's a very nice lady. I wish she would speak up a little bit more. Personally, I like Laura a lot,
No, she
but
speaks up more than some of the other people there. Some of the other
well,
people there, they, at least
right. She opens her mouth. She does speak
I
up.
was going to say she chooses and she picks and chooses her fights, which I understand that, because sometimes, if you're the lone voice, it's hard to speak up if everybody, if you're in the super minority.
Right,
Forget the minority. When you're in the super minority,
right.
and she's the only person on the board with some sense. Hopefully, these new board members will go on and help her fight the good fight there, because we know that.
We need a good. We need a good fight. We need
Especially with
to.
this new superintendent going into place. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, that's my number one issue. I mean, I talk about it all the time in CRT, because at the end of the day, if we allow this stuff to be taught to our kids, it has nothing to do with diversity and history. As you'll see it on a bunch of sites that it's about teaching history and it's about diversity, inclusion, all that stuff. Look, I'm Spanish. You're Jewish, right?
Yeah.
Jewish.
Yep.
Jewish. I was just remembering when we spoke last time. So we're not like, we're people of colors ourselves. I mean, what was it? I think last year, was it last year that
we're ethnic?
Jewish?
We're considered ethnic minorities.
And I was going to say, I think anti-Semitic attacks was the biggest attacks against people last year. I think it was like the increase, like I think the numbers was like 150% or something like that last year. It's crazy, the increase in anti-Semitic attacks in this country.
You're right, and it's terrible. And if we take a look at the critical race theory and what they're teaching, and what they're attempting to teach to the children that in our school district, it causes division. It's not about bringing people together.
No.
It's not about understanding diversity. It's about separating people, because critical race theory comes out of the Marxist doctrine, which is to keep people separate, because if you can keep people separated, then they can't talk. They can't, they can't, if you keep people divergent, they can't focus on what's really happening.
Well, it's divide and conquer. What it is
divide and conquer, right?
People go, oh no, it's not. Look, I could post my video from yesterday where I talk about it. Critical race theory is an offshoot of critical theory. Critical theory is the Western philosophy, the Western Marxist philosophy. Basically, what it did was Marx talked about the working class and the rich people. So it's the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. What critical race theory does is basically it rips out the class and goes, okay, now we're going to instead of dividing people on class, we're going to do what already has happened in this country, which we do have a bad history with race. And that's what it did. It said, okay, this is going to work better than the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, and we're going to insert race. And it's working. And it's working. But it's taking time, because what happens is they always go, oh, it was taught in academia, it's taught in colleges. Well, what happens to all these people who learn it in college? Well, they go on to working around the country in different places, and they bring this with them. They teach it to their, let's say if they become a teacher at a school. Well, we're seeing it right now. When they talk about oppressed versus oppressor, this whole thing that everybody except white privilege and the suppress and oppressor they treat it as fact and not as a theory. Because yes, because we do have a tainted history, but that doesn't mean that what happened during the civil rights era is still going on right now.
Absolutely. You know, I don't believe we are an inherently racist country. And I don't think people want Marxist doctrine in our education system. I think, you know, critical race theory is Marxist doctrine. It's used to separate people. It talks about the white people being the oppressor, the minorities being the oppressed, which is classic Marxist doctrine. And by the way, Karl Marx, who came up with this doctrine, never worked a day in his life, at least not a meaningful job.
There was an Engel who supported him.
Engel, right? These guys must have been meeting and having lunch with each other, and you know, talking about, let's come up with a theory that we can use to change the world. And you know, unfortunately, it did change a large part of the world, but we can't let that happen here. If we let that ideology start to permeate into the fabric of our society, we are going to go the way of China. We are going to go the way of Venezuela. We're going to be in the same boat that Australia is in right now, with the vaccine mandates and the government actually holding people down and vaccinating them by force. We can't. Yeah, we can't let
Austria is they're
Austria
Austria's they're lockdowning the unvaccinated. That's
right,
what they're
right.
doing.
And they're letting you have a half hour with a prostitute if you're willing to take the vaccine. This is Austria. This is the insanity that is going on in the world right now for a vaccine that, you know, that after, I was looking at the statistics, after 4 months, I think it was the Moderna vaccine was 19% effective. So of course, let's give a booster. We need to get boosted. And then in 3 more months is going to be another booster. And then in 3 more months is going to be another booster.
Wait. Larry, that's a conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah, well, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I mean, right.
No, I'm just remembering,
right,
because there was Dave Rubin. I don't know if you know who Dave Rubin is.
Yeah.
So he had posted, earlier this summer, he had posted talking about boosters, and they hadn't approved anything yet. And he was talking about how the booster is going to start, and Twitter gave him a ban until he took down the information. And he's like, it's just I'm reading what they're talking about. They're talking about that they might approve boosters. And he had to delete the tweet to re-sign back on Twitter. And then here we are just a couple of months later, and they're talking about boosters. And now they're going to change the definition of
the vaccine,
of vaccinated,
right?
That to mean that you need to be fully vaccinated, which means
you have to
if
have
you don't
the booster,
get the boosters,
right?
Then you're not considered vaccinated.
I want to say one thing, and this is very important. And I know we didn't meet here today to speak about vaccines, but this is very important. And I've understood this for 35 years as a natural health care practitioner. I understand vaccines. I've treated vaccine injured children for 35 years, many of them in this community. And I think what I want to say to the people that are watching this podcast is be very, very careful what they are doing to you with these vaccines. It is not a good idea. Do your research. If you want to get the vaccine, get it. I'm not going to tell you not to get it. I did that once before, and somebody made a complaint against my chiropractic license. So I don't tell people not to get the vaccine. If you want to get the vaccine, get vaccinated all day long. If that's what you want.
Do your research.
Do your research.
Talk to your doctor.
But don't be forced or be bullied into getting a medical procedure that may have long-term negative consequences.
You don't know. Talk to your doctor. Don't just go to, CVS or Walgreens or wherever. Go talk to your doctor, because for all you know, you could be you could be allergic to an ingredient in the vaccine. So that's why we're not saying don't, you want to get it, but talk to your doctor. You should have, if you can't have this conversation with your doctor, okay, then maybe it's time to find a new doctor. That's all I got to say, because you should be able to have an open and honest conversation with your doctor.
Right. Absolutely. And having said that, my doctor didn't get the vaccine. I had this discussion with my doctor. He doesn't feel that it's a safe thing to do. I happen to totally agree with him. However, you have to make up your own mind. Do what's right for you, but don't let, people, don't let the government, don't let the World Health Organization, don't let the CDC, don't let flip-flop Fauci bully you in
I like that one.
to getting a medical procedure that you choose not to get. That's not the way it works. You choose it, you get it. You choose not to get it, you don't get it. It's your choice. It's medical freedom. In this country, what's happening right now is medical tyranny, and that's got to stop today.
Oh, there's not just more than medical tyranny going on in this country. I mean, well, you know what? Let's bring it up. We were talking about the Rittenhouse thing and talking about he shouldn't have even been on trial. With all the video that was there that was going on, he shouldn't even been on trial. This was it. Basically, it was put there. It's a political prosecution. They needed it to be prosecuted just because of the fact that the people, let's be real, the people on the left, Black Democrats, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, they all wanted him prosecuted. And here we are, we might get, now if he's acquitted, what they're talking about, more riots.
Right.
That's lawlessness.
It's lawlessness.
If he can't have a fair trial, okay, because people are threatening to burn stuff down, burn the city down, if he gets acquitted, that's lawlessness. We're I don't even want to say anarchy, because anarchy, at least there's people that will have some principles. This is just lawlessness, because you cannot go and tell the judge and you tell these jurors. I'm pretty sure these jurors are like, okay, if my name gets out there that I'm that I acquitted this kid, they're gonna go after me. They're gonna go where I live. They're gonna go after my family. I'm pretty sure that's in the back of them, if not in the back of their mind, in the front of their minds.
It's like the same with the vaccines. People are living their lives right now out of the fear factor. What happened to critical thinking? Critical thinking doesn't exist anymore. People are living in fear. They're living in COVID fear. They're living in Rittenhouse fear. It's ridiculous. By the way, they call Rittenhouse a white supremacist.
Oh.
I think that's what the president of the United States called him, a white supremacist. The three people that ended up, shot by Rittenhouse were white. He didn't go out looking for people of color to shoot. He's not a white supremacist. And this is not about self-defense. This is about the Second Amendment. This is the way that they're trying to push the narrative to basically say that you shouldn't be able to have guns.
Well, that's the whole thing. If they could attack your right to self-defense with a gun, because that's the whole thing. If you see the trial and you saw what the guy was talking about, and this is the stupidity of that prosecutor. He talked about, because Grouse Krauts, whatever you say his name, had a pistol.
Grouse Crates.
Right. He had a pistol, and Rittenhouse had an AR. Didn't that mean that he was more of a danger because the gun was bigger? And it's like, it doesn't matter the size of the gun. And I was just there like, so, yeah. And then everybody talks about that. Notice how everybody always talks about, a 17-year-old's not supposed to have a gun. Why did he have a gun at the protest?
Right.
But nobody talks about the felon having a handgun.
It's unbelievable. And then the stupid prosecutor the one with the flip in his hair. I don't know how many hours he spends in the morning working on that flip in his hair. I can't remember his name.
What, the skinny one?
Yeah, the skinny one. Not
Binger.
right, not the
That's
one
what
that
I
not the one that looks like Mr. Potato Head, Brian Stelter from CNN.
remember.
The
Yeah,
other
no,
one,
yeah. No, Binger. That's his name,
Binger, right. And then he gets up in the middle of the trial and points an AR-15 at the jury
With his finger
with his
on.
finger on the trigger. The judge should have declared a mistrial right there. That was insanity.
Look, I'm a
What's
gun
going on?
novice, and I know that you don't do that.
You never point the gun at anybody
No.
unless you're going to use it. So,
And the fact that he asked the guy if the gun was empty, you don't trust that. You look yourself. It's like, even you go to a gun show, they'll give you the gun, and the first thing you do is you click back, you make sure nothing's in the chamber, and then you hold it, and you always hold it down.
Right. Look, I'm a big Second Amendment guy.
Me too. So
I used to have a gun business back, in the day. I had my federal firearms license, and I would buy and sell guns. And, I think, look, I believe in daytime. If everybody was armed and you knew that if you walked up to somebody and tried to hurt them, they were going to take out a gun and shoot you, in self-defense, there would be a lot less crime.
Well, they said, they always talk about how the Wild Wild West was just wild. And it's like, well, the whole thing about the Wild West, you have to be polite to people.
Right.
Because they say an armed society is a polite society. Think about this.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Think about this. Think about all the vicious and nasty people, the keyboard warriors, that they talk all that smack online. But I guarantee you see them in person, and nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And that's what goes on. I mean, there's no fear. These people don't have fear to talk. That's why they say whatever they want online, and people are disrespectful to each other.
It's unfortunate we live in a disrespectful society, but, in any event, I would like to tell or ask the community to come out tomorrow night to support the teachers that are going to be picketing at the Pleasant Valley High School. I think the picketing is going to start at around 6 o'clock in the evening. The school board meeting starts at 7 o'clock. And let's get out there and support our teachers. I think the community needs to stand behind our teachers. And, let's get this right. And one more thing I would like to say before we go, because I know I'm taking a lot of your time today. I will be on the ballot for the next school board election, because the people heard my message. The people responded to my message. The people understood the message. And now it's time for the people to be heard.
No, that's, I agree with you 100%. We do need to support our teachers. I think it's important that we're active in our community. Sorry, excuse me. I just have an important message here. We need to support our community. We need to be here. That's why I stress local politics. And sorry. I think that we need to, that's why I stress local politics. Like I said, we want to get people on the school board that will help us in our fight to stop this whole, as people that I like online call it, critical race training, critical racism training. We need to put an end to it. And there's people who will say, oh, but what about freedom of speech? It's not about, when you go to college and you want to learn critical race theory, go right ahead. Because when you're older, there's nuances to this stuff. As adults, even some adults don't understand the nuances of it. But for children, if you teach this theory to the children, to them, it's going to be fact. They're not there yet to be able to realize the nuances. Not everything is black and white, it's gray. Right. And even adults don't realize that.
Right. Neurologically, children, up until they're about 15, 16, 17 years old, their brain, there is so much neuroplasticity. Their brain is making so many new connections. They're not at a point yet where they're able to totally understand these concepts that are being brought to them every day, and they shouldn't have to be subjected to it. And the parents don't want them subjected to it. And the parents are absolutely right. They need to have a say in that child's education 100% without a doubt.
All right. Well, since you're running, anything else you'd like to say to the people in the community?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the people that came out to support me on election day. We did something that I don't think has ever been done before. We got 2,000 write-in votes after a 2.5-week campaign, which was organic. It was spontaneous. I didn't know I was going to be running for school board until 2 weeks before the election. So we did really well considering.
Yes.
And I would like to thank everybody in the community. And you all know who you are because I saw you at the polls, and the people that were working for me that day, they saw you at the polls. I just want to say thank you for coming out to support me on election day. And I will continue to work for this community so that your voices can be heard. I'm about the people, the teachers, and the children. That's why I'm here. And that's why I'm going to continue to stay here. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, thank you, Larry. Any of the other school board members, if you don't have my contact, I'm here to write Rican. You could email me, you could message me on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, whatever you guys use, and you guys want to come on here, you guys want to talk about your message, I'll be more than happy to have you guys. But like I said, I'm the Right Rican. You can follow me here on YouTube or Rumble. Interact with me, Twitter, Facebook, Gab, Clout Hub, which is Telegram. There you go. All of those. And Larry, you want to shout out where people could find you on social media? I know you have your Facebook page.
Right. I have my Facebook, Larry Kahn, DCND, and I do believe we are going to post this podcast on my Facebook page as soon as we're done with the podcast. And I think it will also be on YouTube, and it'll be on Rumble as well.
Yes.
And I just want to say once again, Carlos, thank you for having me.
No, hopefully we'll talk again, but maybe we'll just have some organic stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about current events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Love to have you on.
Love to come back anytime. Thank you.
All right. Well, have a good day, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it.